Welcome back, Honestman, here with more Dragon's Dogma as we continue our complete playthrough on hard mode. Last episode, we were in Bitterblack Isle, save scumming some tasty treasures, and I was able to save scum some additional rift crystals at the end of the episode, primarily in Duskmoon Tower. Most of the chests there have the option of crystals or clusters, so I was able to accumulate some. I also just killed everything in the garden. Just did some combat, killed the Cyclops, and got some crystals that way too. So we have enough for a little more purification. And I didn't explain this well or at all last episode, so I'm going to have a link to the wiki in the video description. The executive summary is that unlike regular chests, the purification process is not random. Not in the traditional sense, at least. And what I mean by that is it's a pseudo-random system based on a very long list of numbers. Essentially, that's the idea. Which means that unlike the chests, you can't reload and get a different roll. You just get seeded into the list, and the list increments. So that is why we kind of got lucky because we got a really good helmet from an armor. But really what I wanted was the assault boots. But I already checked this next seed in the list, and it's not the boots. So a little disappointed there. But instead, we're going to roll the dice, figuratively speaking, with the weapon to see what we get here. And this isn't ideal either. I'm not going to have anyone in the fighter class for a little while here. But I am going to dip into it a little bit strategically, not to gain levels, but to gain fighter ranks to access certain abilities. So this will come in handy down the road, perhaps. Not the worst. And I had checked the other items as well. There's nothing interesting there, so we're just going to hoard those for the time being. And just a quick note on that in general, I think it's an awful design decision. Having a fixed list of IDs that are incremented through, the only thing that accomplishes from a design perspective is it makes it much more difficult for players to get what they actually want. And I don't see why that should be a design goal, quite frankly. I think that's maybe some sensibilities brought over from like MMOs or something, sort of anti-player, pro-grind sensibilities. Not what I want to see in an offline single-player experience. Definitely not. And quite frankly, I don't like random either for that matter. I think that's a really lazy design decision. I think that if they're trying to create some sort of scarcity, the way to do that isn't anti-player is you just increase the cost. Right? Let's say there's 10 items in the pool, and on average it takes you 5 attempts to get you what you want. Instead of forcing the player to do that, just multiply the cost by 5 and then allow the player to pick what they want. It's the same amount of grinding on average, but with the reward at the end for the player instead of, what is effectively random chance. So that's my rant on that topic. I'm hoping that Dragon's Dogma 2 is better. All that said, now we jump ahead to the encampment. Picking up in the encampment, you're going to want to make sure that you grab the first journal entry here, which is in a chest nearby. We're going to need that for a subquest further down the line, so better if you grab it now. And next, we advance the main quest by talking to Mercedes here.
I am Mercedes. I lead the men of the enlistment corps. I've heard talk of the
So she's going to want us to do something, but first we rest. And our rest is interrupted. by a Hydra. So we just take this guy out. And grabbing on is the easiest way. Really looking for the mages to pitch in here. We need fire. That'll help. And before I fall off, I'll try to get a big strike in, but now he's moving. As long as none of the heads manage to bite you, this isn't too terrible of an encounter, honestly. And of course the equipment we picked up from Bitter Black Isle certainly does not hurt. Uh-oh. Nice. Nice save. Ooh, help him. There we go.
I'm impressed.
Oh, I'll be damned! This your handiwork? For true? Oh, what did the lack of an idol doing here anyway?
Ancient tales of the Arisen are well and good for it, but make a gift of these heads to the Duke. You might earn yourself a real title.
Alright, so work is done here. Hydra, I'm not going to say killed per se, but driven off at least.
We'll meet at the Waycastle.
She's going to want to take this head to the king. She's going to move on ahead. We'll meet up with her in a bit. Before we do, however, Reynard happens to be here.
Now, let us talk of business.
I'm not sure if his presence is hard-coded or not, but we'll take advantage of it. And what we're going to want to do is buy 10 items from him. And they need to be completely separate transactions where you completely back out of the dialogue. So that is what I'm going to do right now.
Forgive the sudden
Here we go.
reply, sir, but I find myself in need of something and thought you might be of service.
So he's going to want us to find something for him.
Pray, call again.
And I just bought some very, very cheap stuff. I did pick up the cape that I'm now wearing, which boosts stamina. But other than that, it was just like 50 gold items, something like that. But this gives us the quest Search Party. So he wants some scrap iron. So we'll be on the lookout for that scrap iron in our travels. It should not be very hard to come by. And if you don't catch up with him here, he should be at the capital later in the game. So if you miss him, not a big deal, and we'll plan to rendezvous with him at the capital. So back in Cassardis, I want to talk to this guy. So Kina, I believe that was the, at the time, unnamed woman in the opening scene. She seems to have made off 2 parts unknown. And that gives us the quest Lost and Found to make for the Witchwood. We're not going to do that just yet, but we want to grab the quest. Also here, we want to talk to the Innkeeper.
Fisher.
And they have some thieves about, or a thief about,
They are none too come and find.
and he wants some help catching them. We can certainly assist with that. And take note of the message board here. We'll address that in a moment. So first things first, we have to talk to some other villagers about this thief.
I'd not believe the scout tis clear.
And this is a good time of day. If it was nighttime, we would not have access to these folks, so you would need to wait until day. But we can knock this out quickly here. There we go. So then we go back to the Innkeeper. He's going to want us to wait until nightfall.
Done with your preparations, good Fisher? There's time yet. Or then we wait. 'Tis time. I've faith in you, cousin. And why not?
There we go. Now we just need to catch the thief. He's going to be running around, and we need to catch him. So the good news... Oh, jeez, doubled back. The good news is that we have infinite stamina in towns like this. The bad news is he's quite quick.
Unhand me.
There we go. Mission accomplished. Also, while we're here, the notice board I mentioned earlier. Giant bats. Sure, we'll cross paths with some of those in our travels. And now we head back to the encampment. So once again, back to the encampment, west-northwest of Cassardis. And our destination is to the north to catch up with Mercedes. Along the way, I expect we're going to run into some bandits, which is actually a good thing because we have a quest to kill 10 of them. I believe there should be 10 along the way. We'll see.
The road splits here. Let's be doubly sure of which will see us to our
I
destination.
think the left side here, there's going to be bandits up here.
The structure is abandoned, Arisen. Let's have a look for supplies within.
I'll take them. This should change the stakes. Seems decided. Perhaps there's a way we might have use of it.
They're left exposed because I'm striking. Did it!
Alright, first encampment clear.
Numbers, Arisen.
Have some wolves about here.
There, quick these dogs.
And of course, the wolves have giant money pouches.
They're nimble. Watch your back.
Here we go. More bandits along the road.
They're left exposed after a grand strike.
They attack in quick succession.
We have
There we go. Quest complete. And I hope it's clear from the comment that I've shown here on the trip how quickly we've sort of overcome that very early game power curve. I mean, certainly twinking ourselves with some equipment from Bitter Black Isle helps, but it's not like crazy end game equipment per se. In any case, here is Mercedes to continue our journey.
I trust you rested well, given the hour. The hour.
We make for the, like as, but
So we're going to roll out to the capital. We need to protect her wagon with our prize, our trophy.
I've learned what to do in this quest.
Let us go.
Quite the grand structure. A Waycastle, perhaps.
But suffice it to say, because there's not a ton of challenge here, I'm not going to document every single encounter with every single goblin. Just rest assured that we will progress through to the capital.
the captain is in sight. for the castle directly to offer my report to his grace. I'll have word sent for you, friend. Pray, sojourn in the capital a while. To the castle main! Step lively!
And there we go. Quest complete. And upon entering Gran Soren here, we want to make for the inn, which is just off the main square. And he's going to give us some clues on where we need to head next. There's the Pawn Legion headquarters of sorts here. So we're going to head down there. And the Pawn Guild is sort of on the west side of Gran Soren in the Craftsman's Quarter. Just down the hill and to the left. There we go.
Welcome, Arisen.
And Barnaby has some trubs. They've got some problems in their basement that they want us to get sorted. So he's going to tell us all about the basement problems. Yeah, so there's things stirring down there, and obviously he wants us to investigate, quote unquote. But that's where we're going to leave the main quest for the time being. We have some side quests to attend to. And the start of that is the notice board here in the Pawn Legion. These are all going to be addressed much further in, but we'll go ahead and grab them now. The ground floor of the Pawn Legion building has another notice board, which is more, just kill enemies quests. So we'll get these queued as well. They want us to kill more rabbits. They breed like rabbits. And almost straight across from the Pawn Legion is a fellow here in need of assistance. So his son is dead. Bad heart. Must have gotten the vax. So we got to bring him back to life. He gives us a Wakestone shard. You need 3 Wakestone shards to form a Wakestone. And fortunately, from our trip to Bitterblack Isle, I happened to accumulate 2 additional Wakestone shards. So right away we have a complete stone. If you can't complete this right away, that's not a super big deal. You're going to be able to accumulate those stones in time. But I'm good to go here, so I'm just going to bring his son back.
A miracle. 'Tis a miracle.
And there we go. Happy ending.
I feel more familiar with this quest now.
Back up in the main square, just sort of to the southwest-ish, there's another notice board. And none of those are we going to be able to complete immediately, so just collecting them for the future. And here we run into Madeline, who we had helped get to the city earlier. I didn't show that part on video, but I mentioned it.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a look at her stuff in a bit. She's probably going to post up inside the inn here for the short term. And this gentleman, Stefan, we need to talk to him. He's going to have a quest for us. He wants us to find a grimoire. So we want to collect that mission. Do note that around this time, you will now have access to the Eternal Fairy Stone. I believe this is specific to Dark Arisen, but suffice it to say that it is an infinitely usable fairy stone, whereas in the original game, fairy stones were single use only, which was super annoying. So we definitely want that fairy stone, so now we can teleport around. Also note that we have more armors at our disposal as well, and I believe these are all full outfits. So definitely peruse these and see if they're an upgrade for anyone. I'll do that between episodes. And one last note while we are here, this is a good time to look at our class. We picked up quite a few levels on the trip. We are now Warrior rank 5, and we have access to Whirlwind Slash, which is an upgrade of Upward Strike, which launches enemies into the air, which is great, because when they are launched, they're not hitting you, and when they land, they are prone, and they are also not hitting you. So that's a great tool, in my view. Definitely want Whirlwind Slash on your warriors. I also really like Spark Slash, which swings your weapon in a circle around you, which can be very handy. Also with a high probability to knock enemies prone, which is awesome. I definitely recommend Spark Slash. I think the core skills and ferocity are also good options, but I'm not going to dip into those just yet. What we're going to do instead is change our vocation. We don't actually want to gain any ranks, but we're just going to switch to Sorcerer very briefly here. And the reason is because at level 1, Sorcerers have access to certain augments, like Awareness. Greatly reduces damage sustained in magic attacks. Let's grab that. And then we change right back to Warrior. And we set our augments to add Awareness. So magic attacks at this point aren't super common, but they're going to become a little bit more common. They're never going to be the norm per se, but it's a good tool to have. It'll help with survivability. And we can do the exact same trick with our main pawn here, Honestman. We'll have him switch to Sorcerer for a hot second so that he can get that augment. And then change him back to Warrior. So I think that's going to be a wrap for now. We have much more to do in the capital, but it's nighttime right now, and I believe we need it to be daytime for the people that we need to talk to. So that's where we're going to pick up next time. Crack of Dawn in Gran Soren. Until then, thank you all so much. Please like and subscribe. This has been Honestman and Mary Abernathy, and we will see you next time with more Dragon's Dogma.